Hello to the chicos and the chicas. In today's video, I'm going to reveal one of my greatest findings when it comes to analyzing your game with the help of the engine and how to make the most of this scenario. So buckle up, stay tuned, grab a piece of paper and a pen, take notes. You want to hear it. So this is how I've sort of went about this business. As you know, as a chess coach, I am analyzing my students' games left and right and center, and I do think that this is the core of their improvement. When they face their mistakes, then we look at the improvements, we compare the thought processes, and we hopefully make progress. It is incredibly difficult to do this without a coach who can verbalize, support, ask the right questions, and so on. But I really thought that they should be able to, people should be able to get somehow more out of the game review function of both big websites than what they tend to. And it's not necessarily the engine's fault, by the way. And here is what I have figured out. I have uploaded onto Chess.com's game review function a blitz game I played, and I have already run the review. So what that does for you is that it basically gives you a score of an accuracy score, and when something goes sideways, like that move there, a6, it gives you a mark, like a question mark or like a notation, or like he b4, a question mark. Not only that though, but if I am waiting here for a little bit, what you notice is that the engine is also recommending a move. So what I am doing here is that I'm going through the game analysis, and even if I don't look up on the right corner at the engine because I turn it off, I constantly get visual cues, in fact direct information about what's good and what's bad. And this is what you do not want. And I show you now how you can avoid this. So what you do before you run the game analysis, and I really want you to try this, and trust me, you will thank me forever afterwards. So you go up to this cog, click it, you go interface, you go both on analysis, but in particular on review, you move this slider, show best move, to nope, we don't want that. And you close it off and you go back to your game analysis and you leave it like this. And what's gonna happen now is that when I go through the game review, it shows me that b4 was bad, but it doesn't show me the correct move instead. Now, I played this game with the white pieces, and by the way, of course, you can turn this off so you don't get that information at all. Now, I'm going to switch back to normal view because we don't need to see the move tab anymore. I was white, right? So I wanted to know how I played and how I went in this game. And I thought I would put my theory to the test. So this is what I sort of did. Sort of is the keyword. I ran the analysis, and I decided that I was going to stop at every single point in this game where I either made a mistake or I blundered. These are the two most important ones, right? Because they are the most drastic types of mistakes. And then you can sort of break it down even more if you have the time or the desire. So work with me. It was a very feisty game, by the way. A lot went down here. So, and it's quite complex too, but it demonstrates well the concept. So I decided to stick with it. Rook b1. Bad move. I was quite surprised when I saw it. And this is where the coaching method kicks in. What you do now is the following. You grab a piece of paper. I really insist that you do this. If you want to grow as a player, you want to improve, paper, pen. No, oh, I just calculated it and that's, no. Paper, pen. I'm on move 9. I played rook b1 and it got a question mark. So now I'm going to come up with a different move 9. And I'm starting calculating. Now I will spare you from the chess details. I have worked out that e5 is best. And the reason for that is because it cuts off the queen's retreat path. And after that, black is in quite a bit of trouble. And you calculate a line here. And this is the coaching process or the learning process that you want to do is that you now put your paper to the side, you set up the position on the board, or you do it on your screen, and you go like, okay, what should I have done? And you start calculating. Yeah, you list your candidates, you pick one, you calculate a line, and you write that line down. It's very important because this is the only way to hold you accountable. So I'm gonna write down, rook b1, d6, yada yada yada. I write the line down, and then you move on to the next. And in the very end, we are going to do the big reveal when we turn on the analysis, and we check if our new lines match the correct move. I'm going to show you a very, very cool example too, in fact, from the game. So in this position, in here, I played e6, and it was a bad move, right? And I remembered when I ran the analysis, I had remembered that my intention was to play g3 first and then e6. And I just couldn't for the life of me find a reason to do that. Know that this was a 3-minute game. And so I just thought, whatever, I will play g3 later. And it turns out that e6 actually was a mistake and I should have played g3. Now, in the optimal world, when I see e6 popping up, question mark, I'm like, okay, pen, paper, let's calculate the winning line. And my winning line goes g3, queen here, h3, queen here, e6, knight f6, takes. Long story short, the point is that if you kick the queen out, let's say it goes back right away there. I know I didn't say that, but now I'm going to change my line. After knight f6, this guy is not hanging here. And also in this position, I can play bishop f5. That is the big benefit of kicking the queen first. I played e6 first, and in comparison, now if you look, I don't have this. And what that means is that black is likely going to be able to finish development and the king is going to remain secure. And now I don't have g3 because this is hanging. Right? Now, I revealed to you here the truth. But the point is that when it pops up, I switch to training mode. I turn off everything, paper, pen, analysis, calculation. I write my line down, and then I'm going to compare in the end. I had an even bigger boo-boo, which I want to show you from this game, which was really, really cool. As you could see, I was sacking every single pawn that was, in my way in this game with white. I really felt like this has to be an epic victory, only to botch it spectacularly. I did win the game, but I still felt like I botched it. In this position, I had about 1:10 left, so I was a bit hard-pressed for finding it. I knew that I was winning. I knew it. And I couldn't for the life of me find a win. After rook a1, I thought queen c6 was even, or not even, but problematic. I looked at bishop b5, but again, the queen goes back to c7 and holds the dark squares. It just somehow wouldn't work. No matter what I tried, it wouldn't work. So in the end, I played bishop b7. I'll show you how it ended. It was quite tragic, but at the same time, very beautiful. That was the mate. But as soon as I ran the dang review and it showed me bishop b7 double question mark, I'm like, man, I knew it. And so what I did was exactly, this was the point when I figured out how to turn off this function, by the way, or rather before that. So I set this up and I spent an eternity on it when it actually dawned on me that I had an absolutely sensational win with rook a1. So again, what you do, you see the blunder and you go like, okay, what should we do here? And you start calculating. No moving pieces, no, looking at the engine. Everything is turned off. You know that you blundered here. The only thing that I'm still tossing up about is whether to keep the eval bar on the side on, because that gives you a bit of an indication as to what sort of move you are looking for. Depending on the level of the player, you can determine whether you need it or not. Anyway, I figured it out after like 10 minutes, maybe even more, that I had a fantastic win here with rook a1, queen c6, and knight e5. And this knight e5 move, sacking a piece on an empty square, is always the roughest challenge. It's just insanely powerful. They have to take it because otherwise I'm winning at least the rock. And after takes rook d1 check, it's over. If the king goes to e8, I have bishop b5. If the king goes to c7, I have queen e5. And after king b6, it's basically a mate in 3. But if you don't see knight e5, then rook a1 doesn't really make too much sense. And so, with this method, what you are going to accomplish is that you are going to get enough feedback from the engine that you know what you did was wrong, but you're not getting the spoon-fed answer. Because if you see this line shown to you by the engine, rook a1, queen c6, knight e5, the chances that you're going to miss either an exact motif or something similar is extremely high. Because you didn't have to work it out. It was spoon-fed to you. There is no reflection on, I was looking at X, Y, Z moves and I couldn't make them work, like I told you already. And there's also no reflection on the fact that I in fact had looked at rook a1, but I overlooked knight e5. So now we need to have a very honest self-reflection that, like, come on, bro, like, that is screaming to be played, opening up the d-file, hitting the queen, bringing the last piece into the attack. You need to be more open to sacrificial ideas, even when they look absolutely cray-cray, because that's how it is. And that, to my mind, is infinitely more learning taking place than looking at the engine saying, okay, one queen c6, knight e5, and you go like, oh, how could I miss it? Of course it's knight e5. I'll find it next. No, you won't. No, you won't, because you didn't do the work. The engine did it for you, and that's what it is. Now, where it really becomes interesting is the fact that, of course, when the engine tells you that you blundered with bishop b7, chances are that you are not going to find that line quite high. But that's not the only way to learn. The learning takes place when you try to do better than what you did in the game. You re-engage with the same position. In fact, you have memories of what you thought of. So now you know that something must have been cooking there. You might even have thought about the correct move, like I had here, but you didn't see a correct follow-up. And even if you botch it, after that, you compare now your new ideas with the engine line, and there is now a new you learning something from the engine. Now you have something to work with. Not only the game that you played or the move that you played in the game, but also now you have got an entire thought process written in front of you. So you are immediately accountable for your thoughts, your ideas, and how they match the engines. I really want you guys to try it. If you are someone without a coach who can't really get enough out of their game analysis, try this method. I'm dying to know if you think that this is as good as I hope, and I think it is. But yeah, I do think that if you cover out the arrows and you just look at all the blunders in your game, and here too I miss knight e5, by the way, and perhaps other moves as well, you are going to uncover so much about your own thinking process, the shortcomings of your chess, and also the strength. I think that this could easily be a game changer. What it requires from you is brutal honesty toward yourself. That you write down your lines that you are thinking, and that's what we go with, and that's when you compare it to the engine's moves, and then you go like, I'm still quite a bit off, so let's see, what did I miss here? Or, woo, I got that. So now we have got that new sense of, that is achievement. When I managed to improve my own lines without the engine spoon feeding it to me. That's gonna be it from me for today, guys. I hope you liked it. Please don't forget to sub, to like, to super thank me if you can. Please leave a comment down below, and I will see you in the next video.